the Sam Hill's going on here?
The Rewatch Podcast presents the Lois and Clark Rewatch, dedicated to the series Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman on ABC. Join us each week as we investigate the origins of the Man of Steel and uncover crime in Metropolis. Send your feedback to the Rewatch Podcast at gmail.com. Join us on Facebook at facebook.com/Rewatch Podcast or follow us on Twitter at RewatchPod.
Oh, hey! Let's get back to it.
And welcome back to the Rewatch Podcast and our Lois and Clark Rewatch. I'm Cory.
And I've got two dads. This is my dad, and this is my dad. And this is the judge that brought us together to live as one happy family.
Okay. I'm just trying to think about the episodes. I'm like,
okay.
I'm sure.
Just wait for it.
Yeah, it'll come clear.
It'll pay off.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us, everyone. We are, of course, discussing 2 more episodes of Lois and Clark, and this week's headline reads, Voice from Under.
From Down Under?
I know. I was hoping there would be a down under. I'm like, oh, could have been so good. Now, this week's episodes are Voice from the Past and I've Got You Under My Skin. All right, so getting straight into it. Our first episode discussion, Voice from the Past, written by John McNamara, directed by David Grossman, and this originally aired April 26th of 1997.
Don't give her roses. It upsets her.
Upsets her or you? You're getting carried away with your play acting. Nice performance just now, by the way. Lois seemed suitably moved.
How do you know? You weren't even there.
Oh, I was there.
I don't understand.
You'll be getting a call from the authorities. I blew up a building this afternoon.
What?
I murdered several of LexCorp's employees, and the union leaders they were meeting secretly with. No more of this nonsense about LexCorp going union. But of course, you'll publicly say what a tragedy it all is. I'll write it all down for you, don't worry.
What's all this?
This is the way in which I was able to know everything you said to Lois upstairs. Watch. This is a neural scanner. Every person's brain gives off a kind of frequency. It's like each of us is broadcasting sound and pictures. This specifically locks onto the frequency of those sounds and pictures. And this shows us what's being beamed out. I scanned Lois and locked into her.
You mean this... We're looking at...
The world, as seen and heard by Lois Lane.
Things come to a head as Leslie realizes that Lois has figured out his secret when she confronts him aggressively for an article Perry assigned to her. Leslie tries to explain why he's hidden his identity. However, Lois says she needs to report this news, but she will give him time to prepare a statement his own way first. Meanwhile, Mr. Smith has recently scanned Lois's brainwave patterns, enabling him to lock onto her signal and actually view everything she is hearing and seeing. Using his gadget, he is able to cause Lois great pain, enabling him to control everything Lois may say or do, including saying she doesn't love Clark, but still managed to signal to him that it's all a lie. During a heated moment between Leslie and Mr. Smith, Smith reminds Leslie to not get too cocky, that he is responsible for hiring him to pretend to be Lex Luthor Jr. because he himself was way too hideous to be accepted in the world as who he actually was, the real son of Lex Luthor. Despite this, Leslie is falling for Lois, and while he tries to stick to Smith's plans, taking her to dinner and dancing, he ends up trying to woo Lois for himself, causing Smith to bring them both underground, choosing to live there with Lois, ruling LexCorp by memos and firing Leslie. Leslie tries to fight back, but ultimately surrenders and is killed. Luckily, Superman, working with Dr. Klein and his new human paramour, has been trying to hack into a device left at the scene of an explosion that killed the heads of a startup Luthor Corps union. They manage to trace the signal to Smith's hideout, and Superman arrives to find Smith threatening Lois unless he agrees to help him rebuild LexCorp. Superman freezes Lois, simulating her death, and attempts to find the backup bomb Smith had in place in case something failed, but before he can deactivate it, Smith reaches for the manual detonator, ready to set it off when Leslie stops him, having survived the gunshot wound and crawling back out of the sewer. Leslie tells Superman to get Lois out of here and then sets off the bomb himself, killing both he and Smith, but also setting off an explosion that threatens to bring down the Daily Planet above. Superman quickly reinforces the support beams, rushes back to Lois and warms her back to life, and once again, the world has been saved from the evil machinations of Luthor.
It got to be like a nightmare. Everywhere I'd go, the second people heard my name, there'd be this look, fear, hate. So one day I just gave another name. No reaction. It was like a game at first, but I felt, I don't know, like I was getting a whole new start.
I'll say this for him. He knows the script.
So now you're rebuilding your father's empire.
Essentially using the money and the resources that he made criminally to serve all people. Yes, Clark, you've hit the essence of my goal.
There's still a question of the missing years in your background.
Yes.
Do you care to fill us in?
Well, it's all very simple. You see, I'm a Maasai warrior.
Pardon?
Maasai warrior?
Good God, he's off the script.
You know, the African tribe. Yes, we know the tribe. Just, you don't seem to fit the typical membership profile. I don't like to talk about it much. There are people I feel a great and powerful kinship with.
Don't you have to kill a lion with your bare hands to be one of those guys?
Ah, yes. You did this. It's a powerful and cleansing experience.
Oh, my God. No! 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 You idiot! Shut up!
And it taught me, feel the moment.
You're losing sight of our objective.
All right, so we actually have a ton of stuff to investigate here, so let's get into it.
So, in the very beginning opener, Lois and Clark, when he comes in through the window, I guess they were supposed to have a sticky kiwi kiss. He was supposed to, like, feed her a kiwi and then kiss her, and then it was, I don't know what that means, but it was in the script, and it just sounds like ew. I'm like, I'm fine with them kissing for the most part, but that just sounds weird. A sticky kiwi kiss. Okay. Anyway, there was a line omitted where Smith, the troll, says he's actually killed another councilman who balked at a Luthor Corps zoning plan back in the day. So more death in his wake.
Just killing everyone.
Exactly. When Lois finds the rose, and this is strange, Lois finds the rose, and Jimmy's like, oh, greatest guy ever, whatever, and she says he's the best. But in the script, she says he's a love bandit. He's a love bandit. What the heck is that?
Okay, so love bandits, sticky kiwi kisses.
I don't know. John McNamara, what's going on here? There was a scene with Smith and Lois where they actually talk in the planet together, and she asks, what does Leslie like to work for? And Smith says that Leslie is powerful, determined, and tender, but has always been unable to find someone to share his life with. And then Lois says she wonders what's the secret of his success, and Smith says, well, Leslie is the only one who can tell you that. That's my best troll voice.
It's those sticky kiwi kisses he gives.
Exactly. Gross. All right. When Leslie talks about the brainwave TV, Leslie says, I don't believe it. And Smith says, well, that's a step up from I don't understand. Just putting them down, putting them in this place, basically. And now this was kind of interesting. Now, Leslie has that accent, but in the script, that accent was supposed to be just a put-on for when he's pretending to be Leslie Luckabee. His real accent was much more informal in the script, is what it says. And even though it doesn't read this way, the words they chose in the script for him when he's not doing the Leslie accent, just it feels to me like some kind of New York, kind of Brooklyn accent, because there's a lot of gottas and and that type of thing, buddy boy. So basically, he says to Smith, he says, I gotta admit, I thought she was kind of snotty at first, but I think she's hot. I can't wait. I'm a lucky guy. So I don't know if that's that's the voice they were going for with Leslie, but he was supposed to be a lot more informal than the stuffy voice he had.
But they couldn't even get the actor to affect an Australian accent.
I know.
This is probably why they cut it.
Exactly. Later on, when Leslie stands up to Smith, Smith says to him, I feel like I'm seeing all the evolution here. You're talking back, making jokes. Next, you'll be coming down out of the trees and bragging about your opposable thumbs. It's absolutely Darwinian. because Leslie stands up to him. And Leslie reasons in his normal voice, and he's like, see, I love this. We're a team. You're smart, and my face doesn't make people puke. But from tonight on, we get this clear. You and me, 50-50. Sure, you can cut me loose, but tomorrow's the day I come out. And the whole plan hinges on that, right? You want to explain to the world I'm just a front? I don't think so, buddy boy. Not a big credibility booster for the new LexCorp. It's just funny to imagine him talking like that. I don't know if that's the accent they wanted, but it to me, when I read it, I was like, that's what it sounded like in my head.
Yeah.
Perry had a reaction to Leslie coming out, and basically he references the king again, Elvis, and he's like, time-honored tactic, often used by the king himself. He'd fire somebody, rehire him, and give him a Cadillac. It was nice to have a little Elvis reference again, because we lost those over the years. Yeah. There's a scene where Smith berates Leslie for the whole Maasai warrior bit. And again, Leslie, in his normal voice, says, hey, I used that once on a babe in Sri Lanka. I'm telling you, they die for that killing the lion crap. And then Smith retorts, oh, I'm sure the beach bunnies, snow bunnies, club girls, and rich widows all loved your little story, but this is not a pickup in some bar. And then he actually hits Leslie and says, you're not a $50 a day gigolo. Whatever you were, whatever you really are, you know better. I taught you, remember? So all that, of course, had to be cut, I guess, because of the accent, perhaps. This one's weird. Lois, fretting over Smith's voice in her head, says, I'm hearing voices, I'm getting pains, maybe I'm getting pregnant. All right. I didn't know hearing voices was part of being pregnant. Maybe if you're pregnant with, the devil's child or something like that, you'll hear voices. But not normally, your baby doesn't usually say, hey, Mom, going okay down here?
Rosemary's Baby. Do what I say.
Exactly. Send down a steak. When Lois tells Clark the marriage is over, it was originally scripted to be at the Daily Planet in the newsroom, which makes it very dramatic. But then this is just weird because Perry, Jimmy and the other staffers, react in astonishment. But Perry, he reacts in horror for some reason and shouts for every reporter to clear the newsroom, saying, everybody out, elevator, stairs, pronto. And then in response, Clark says that he and Lois, he says, you guys go ahead, use the conference room. And that's where Lois gives Clark the danger note and everything like that. But doesn't that seem weird? Like, they're having, she says the marriage is over, and Perry, freaks out? That's a major freak out. Shut down the paper. They're getting divorced. Get out of here. It's like, what? That's a little much,
No, he'd be like, Jimmy, get the camera. This is front page news.
Exactly. He'd be like, why don't you two go on in there and discuss this? Something like that, It's like,
this is just like the King and Priscilla. They'd break up and then they'd get back together again.
Exactly. It was weird. It seemed out of character for him. Anyway, she then when Lois leaves, she actually meets Leslie and Smith behind one of the doors of the planet as she's leaving, and that's where Smith tells her that he is Lex Luthor Jr. So just the same stuff we got earlier, but just a different setting. Smith, Leslie, and Lois have a scene where Smith says he just wants them all to be a family who will rebuild LexCorp together, and Lois will use her influence as a reporter to make people love Leslie as Lex Luthor Jr. So it almost seems like, he's like that, he is that child who was, did not have the family he wanted, and he's trying to rebuild it, with Leslie and Lois there, which is just odd. After the scene in the Daily Planet, Perry invites Clark to join a support group for divorced men, where they go out into the woods, strip naked, and scream. So there's an image in your head. Wow. Whether you're thinking of Perry or you're thinking of Clark, you could be happy or slightly embarrassed. I don't know. Either way. And then there was a weird scene with Leslie, who was passing by and remarks to Perry, have you ever noticed that Clark and Superman, and then Clark flinches and Leslie says, have very similar haircuts? Just trying to dig in a little bit, I guess. I don't know where this would have fit in the whole thing, because they know that Leslie is evil. So why would he have still been in the planet? I don't know. It's odd.
Right.
Lois was manacled to the table, and Smith monologues, and he's basically going off, just, what has the world given me? I'm so alone, but now with you, I won't be alone. And then Lois basically says, you'll always be alone. It's a typical monologue from a villain,
right.
And then finally, we have this, we have a little alternate scene for the end of the episode, which I thought it might be nice to take the dialogue from this little Lois Clark final scene where they're in bed and do a little extra quote vote, a bonus quote vote for the people at home.
All right. Well, if we're going to do this, I say
Yes.
you do Lois as Kermit.
All
and
right,
I'll be
good.
Clark as Alan Rickman.
Okay, sounds good. All right, you're going to cue the music?
Cue the music.
Every time I think there's not one more thing that could possibly happen to us.
I know.
But I don't fight it anymore. Our lives are just weird, and we have to accept that.
There's always going to be something trying to kill us.
Hold us hostage.
Brainwash us.
Or frame us. And now it turns out all those people could have kids.
Well, you know what the answer to this is?
Witness protection program?
Uh-huh.
Clark shakes his head as he undoes her top.
Uh-huh.
Oh, wait, let me read.
Uh-huh.
Wait, let me read. Clark shakes his head as he undoes Kermit. Alan Rickman shakes his head as he undoes Kermit's top.
Uh-huh.
Early retirement?
Nope.
Does this plan involve children of our own?
Well, for the moment, it just involves practice.
Yay. And scene. That got strange.
Oh, man. Oh, well, awesome. Plenty of stuff there, so
Yes.
we'll leave you with that visual for the moment.
There you go.
So you see, my dear, I am actually Lex Jr. I thought a more presentable version of myself might be appealing to you, but clearly, this is not working.
Let her go.
You couldn't just say your lines and collect your check. You had to want her for yourself.
You would have killed her.
Oh, one must prepare to risk everything. Daddy always said.
Why do you want me? You can force me to say things, but you know I don't mean them.
But I believe things can change. And after years without sunlight or human contact, even I may look good.
What are you talking about?
The plan has changed. If I can't live up there, she'll live down here. The Empire will be headquartered here. And I shall rule by memoranda. And you are dismissed.
Okay. Okay. This just got way out of hand. Not so tough without this thing, are you? Can't make her whimper and whisper sweet nothings into your ear.
Give it to me.
Come on, tough guy, come on. How about this? How about we let her choose? Lois, which one of us do you like better? No, I'll make it easier. Which one of us doesn't make you want to sprint to the toilet? Ugly, revolting, rotting cadaver! Now, you might as well let her go. Your big ace in the hole is about to flow into the sewer.
Give it to me.
Should be. And it's gone.
I'm gambling you're as empty and cowardly as I think you are. Bus boy.
All right, so getting into the main story. In this week's lead, Lex Luthor's Lad Lies. Okay, so ends up being a three-parter here.
Yes.
So this is our third part. Clark is returning from Australia, having been looking into Lockerbie.
Mm-hmm.
And Lois and Clark talk about Lex being the master of deception. How old was he really? And, does it make sense that he has a son of Lockerbie's age?
Yeah, not really. I don't know the exact age he'd be, but yeah, it doesn't make too much sense.
I know, it's super weird, right? Like, I really thought they were going to go with Lockerbie is Lex.
Yeah.
Because of this conversation, but really, it doesn't go anywhere, but and it kind of makes you think, like, how old is Lockerbie? Like, if you looked at him, like, late 30s, early 40s, maybe?
I'd say mid to late 30s, yeah.
So maybe Lex was in his 60s?
Yeah, exactly.
It's all that moisturizer, I guess, or
There you go.
Botox
Yes,
or
exactly.
something. I don't know.
Yes.
But yeah, I don't know. Weird conversation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So Luckabee and Troll, Mr. Smith, whoever, are enacting the next stage of the plan. Make Superman an employee of LexCorp. And while all this is going on, Luckabee is going to marry Lois.
I don't get how that's going to happen. Like the logic behind him actually marrying Lois when she's already married to Clark. Like, there would have to be, you'd have to do like a mind control. You'd have to do amnesia thing again. I don't know how they were going to get by that and explain how, like force her to marry him, I guess. I don't, it didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, so getting into this whole plot, all right, we're going to find out that Luckabee is indeed not Lex Luthor Jr.
Yes.
He is just Troll's lackey because
Yes.
Troll is Lex Luthor Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Did not see that coming. But he has this device that helps him hone in on Lois's sight and hearing.
Yes.
And he gets tuned into this by having her feel some fabric and scanning her at the same time, right?
Exactly, yep. Mm-hmm, yep.
I don't know how it serves him to be able to see and hear what Lois thinks when he's going to go ahead and have Luckabee marry her. You think he would want to see and hear through Luckabee, right?
Right, yeah.
So he could
exactly.
sort of vicariously live that thrill. That would make more sense, right?
Yeah, I mean, the fact that he can do it, into Lois's head, I think that's just to show control. Like he can actually control what she's doing by upping some pain, or taking it away. So that's the reason for that. I mean, I guess they could have done that. They could have shown that he could do that without being in her head, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he just sort of has this whole thing where he says, everybody's sort of like broadcasting, and now I can see everything through Lois's. But you just like, there's really no point to that.
Yeah, that's true. That doesn't make sense. Now that you actually spell it out there, I'm like, yeah. Well, why would he be in Lois's head? Yeah, okay, I'm with you.
Is he more in love with Luckabee because he wants to hear them, follow the script, as he says?
No, I think I got it. The reason he's in Lois's head is to make sure that no matter what, he can get rid of the marriage between her and Clark. So now, because he's making the choices for Lois now, Luckabee as Lois, Smith as Lois can say, yes, we're getting a divorce, that's it, and just sort of like push that through maybe.
I guess so, if he just wants to sort of keep tabs on getting her out of there.
Right. And then she's free and clear to be, well, maybe not free and clear because Clark will still have to sign. But I think the assumption is that since he has Lois, that Clark will do whatever, is needed to save her.
Well, and obviously, like, the plan's flawed anyway because he's doing this, like, tell him it's over, tell him you're leaving. And
Right.
just without looking, she writes danger on the piece of paper.
Well, exactly.
And tosses it aside so Clark gets it. And you're like,
Right.
okay, so there's a flaw in your plan.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Evil Genius. But yeah, anyway, before we get to all this anyway, big press conference. Luckabee comes out as Lex Luthor Jr.
Yes.
And, I don't know, they kind of seem apprehensive, but at the same time, the whole city doesn't seem like that unnerved by this revelation.
Well, I think it's because Leslie himself has been doing some good things for the city.
Right, like the tax thing on the phones or whatever it was, right?
Right. So I think all that, is just making them think, well, all right, he went by a different name because he was, worried about, what they would think if he said he was Lex Luthor Jr. because Lex turned out to be a criminal. So he kind of wanted to, hide that part and just say, hey, I just want to help, So I think that's why they're apprehensive, but they're happy as well, or they're accepting.
Well, and this is kind of where you start to see the crack in the relationship between Luckabee and Troll. Because Luckabee, he starts going off script, right? He's telling all these weird stories to them about, like he starts off fine. Like, I would tell people my name and that barrier would go up. But as soon as I changed my name, everything was fine. But then I was living in Sri Lanka and all this stuff. Like, what?
Yeah.
I actually thought the performance from the guy playing Troll, I can't remember the actor's name, but him sort of like, banging his head against the console going, no, why are you so off script? This is ridiculous. Nobody would believe this story.
It was good.
It was a lot of fun. I really liked it. But he's actually gone off the rails anyway, because he's just like killing LexCorp employees left and right,
Mm-hmm.
bombing buildings and all this kind of stuff. So, yeah, it's kind of crazy, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. He wants to take down all the old enemies, so there's no, resistance.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. All these people who were against Lex at the end there, I guess.
Yes.
And with Luckabee going off script like this, he's decided that he's just going to keep Lois down in his subway
Yes.
underground, which actually turns out to be right underneath the Daily Planet.
Mm-hmm.
Of all places. I mean, it's kind of sneaky.
Well, that explains, why he was able to get into the Daily Planet so easily.
Yeah, it does.
Didn't have to walk outside or anything, just goes right up.
Everything sort of just doesn't work out between the two of them, right? Lois is resistant, even though he's, giving her these headaches and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, Luckabee kind of redemptively stands up for Lois at the end there, right?
Yeah, you get the feeling that he was really starting to fall for Lois. It wasn't just play acting or whatever. And I know that they cut out the whole thing where he was, talking in a normal voice, which made him seem a little bit more dim, short-sighted. But as it aired, he does seem like, well, maybe he actually is falling for her. He actually is feeling something for Lois, aside from this whole evil plot. So yeah, it was good.
Yeah, it is good. It is good. It's as far as it is cliched at the same time, I have to say.
Well, yeah.
The whole thing oh, I hired you, Mr. Busboy wannabe actor. Mm-hmm. And gave you power, and now here you are turning against me. And then, of course, the whole thing about Lois saying, you can't force me to love you. I can't teach you to love. It's just something that's inside you. And I will never love you. I love Clark. Blah, 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 blah. But I think everybody does a great job of their respective roles.
Yes.
I think Terry Hatcher's doing a great job. I think... I feel really bad because I don't remember the actor's name, but Lex Luthor Jr.,
Patrick Cassidy is his name.
Is that his name? Right.
Yeah.
Even with that terrible prosthetic on his face, it just...
Oh, no, sorry. That's Patrick Cassidy is Leslie. The troll is Keith Brunsman.
Keith
Just
Brunsman,
looked it up.
Yeah. And again, that voice. I was saying it that last week. I love that voice that he puts on, So I just thought everybody was doing a great job, and the story really just came out very nicely.
Mm-hmm.
And I really, really enjoyed it.
It was good. I liked it. The only thing that really kind of bugged me is when Superman shows up to save Lois, and of course, the troll Smith is, saying, you're going to do this for me, or else, I'll kill her, and if that fails, I have a bomb, that will also kill her. So either way, you're going to help me. And Superman goes ahead, and to save Lois, he freezes Lois again. I understand it's supposed to be dramatic and everything, but we've already seen this. We can reasonably assume they're not going to kill Lois, so we know she's coming back. We've already had, we've had this scene before, so it was kind of just a little lackluster for me when Superman shows up. It was all good before that, but it's like, okay, well, yeah, we've been here. It's fine.
You really can't come up with something new. You had to go back to something we've already seen that probably has very low stakes for us.
Yeah, no stakes.
Yeah, you make a good point. And the way he got there too, I mean, they kind of tried to insert it with the B story of Klein, because we had Klein throughout the episode going over Superman's physiology, and we'll get to that in the bylines. But they insert this thing about a bomb component, which is super rare, and
yes,
some sort of high security over it or something, and you're like,
right.
Why would Lex Luthor Jr. use this? Why wouldn't he just make a pipe bomb or something?
Exactly.
Something highly untraceable.
Yeah, I was wondering where that whole bomb thing was going to go too. I was like, is that going to play into anything at all? And it did, but yeah, it was just a little bit odd to the way it played out, but
And, the whole building collapses around everybody. Supes has to stop the planet from collapsing. The Daily Planet, not the planet. And yeah, like you said, Lois is thawed out and saved. So
we forgot the explosion happened because Luckabee wasn't dead, even though he was shot. He crawled back out of the sewer or whatever, and he stops Troll, the real Lex, by activating the bomb.
Right. So the dismount was not too good for the episode, right?
Right.
But everything leading up to it was pretty solid.
Yeah, overall, I mean, the whole storyline, the whole three-parter was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, exactly. So thumbs up for that. Great way to sort of head us towards the end of the series.
Yeah.
All right, some bylines.
The bylines are all Klein all the time.
Yes.
This is awesome.
So the Klein B story.
Yes.
He has been looking into Superman's physiology, of course, and he's saying everything's looking pretty positive. But I need you to go in that little room for one last test.
Right.
And Superman just does not get it.
I know. His innocence is so funny. It's very amusing.
It makes you wonder. I mean, we knew he was a virgin up until he got married to Lois, but had he ever just had some alone time?
I don't think so. I don't think he has. You know? He's just been kept busy with other things and never thought about it, I guess.
Too busy with other stuff in his teenage years. No time for that.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's when his powers supposedly came out. So, you know, he's focused on that, not about other things.
Totally random. And then to top it all off, Klein's got a new girlfriend, a new love interest.
Who's not a monkey. She's not a monkey or a chimpanzee, so.
I thought it was a lot of fun, you know. He's supposed to be going away with her, but then he gets, like, amazed by this component or something.
Yeah,
and Superman's like, I'll fly her here, and then I can fly you both to wherever. Free of charge.
He's like, yeah, sure, whatever. Okay, great. A test, yeah. But I love his line about, like, she called me a god. She emailed those words into my hard drive. A god. She's 25. It's like, go Klein. Wow.
Oh my god, so funny. So much fun. Great insert for the episode.
And then when they're testing the force field or the little generator thing they have from the bomb, and they can't get it to work, and he's confused. And of course, the only reason it wasn't working is because the polarity is reversed. You gotta reverse the polarity. I'm gonna start using that. Like when something's not working, you know, like at school or I'm with my guitar equipment. Oh, geez, the polarity must be reversed. Hang on.
I know. The IT department should start using that instead of have you turned it off and on again.
They should.
Did you reverse the polarity? Try that.
They should start doing that. I'm going to start using that. And because people come to me with like, you know, hey, something's wrong with my computer, or something's wrong with my phone. You know how to do this? I'm like, oh, let me check the polarity. Oh, it's reversed. See?
It's reversed. What's going on? Who did this?
Exactly.
Underused these days, and we need to bring it back.
Yes, exactly. That's our mission at the Rewatch Podcast. Bringing back reversed polarity.
Oh, man, I love it. All right. Well, yeah, awesome. Awesome wrap up to that three-parter. So let's get into this week's quote vote.
What's everybody standing around for? This a newspaper, not happy hour at Buckingham Palace. What are we here, the Daily Planet? Or second stringers from the Weehawken Gazette? Am I making myself perfectly clear?
All right. Tons of votes this week. Great.
Oh.
I love seeing tons of votes.
Nice.
And we have a clear winner, so cue the music.
Hick is talking with Vincent Price about some test results.
The first batch of results came in, and I must say, looked encouraging.
Great. So that it seems like it's possible for me to have children.
Well, there is one last test I need to run. It'll only take a moment.
Great. Can we do it now?
Well, right. Yeah. Okay. Well, why don't you just step down the hall into that little room and we'll go from there.
Which little room?
That little room there.
Just me?
Just you.
Alone?
Alone.
What's in the room?
Nothing's in the room.
Nothing?
No. All right. A couple of magazines.
Oh, okay. I don't understand. What exactly is supposed to happen in there?
Oh, God. I could be on a plane right now. Yay.
And scene.
Good choice.
Yes, that was a good choice. I'm glad they picked that one. It was a good back and forth.
Yes, it was. All right, so let's get into the second episode discussion. Today, the episode is I've Got You Under My Skin, written by Tim Minear, directed by Eugenie Russ Lemming, and this originally aired May 31st of 1997.
So, prowling the night in the body of a live cat, or scaling sheer walls in the form of the frolicsome monkey wasn't enough for you, huh? You returned to Asabi for the secret. of human to human, body-soul transfer,
Look, can we just do this? It's not safe for me to be out in the open. I got the money. You want it or don't you?
All the ancient gods cry out to Asabi from the nether reaches, imploring him not to share the sacred knowledge. But, what the heck? But before I impart to you the secret of the ancients, I must bid you warning. What you seek is a power straight from the pits of Barathrum. To exile a man from his body, to take possession, there are many dangers.
I'll do whatever it takes.
Very well. But know this, there is no guarantee the transfer will hold. The displaced soul would always attempt to fight its way back to its rightful body.
Not a problem. I only need the other body temporarily. I'll be back in my own skin before you know it.
Fine. This is the Zelig stone. It contains properties for transformation. You must clasp it onto the palm of the one you wish to inhabit. When you feel the other's heart beating in time with your own, as if it were your own, only then you may take possession.
When a con man named Woody, who double-crossed a crime boss, finds out how to use the mystic arts to transfer his soul into other bodies, he decides to use Clark's body to get close to the boss, since he recently did an interview with him. Woody's plan to then transfer his soul into the crime boss and call off the hit on him gets canceled when he discovers that Clark Kent is actually Superman and decides to keep his body instead. Clark, meanwhile, stuck in Woody's body, is disoriented and wandering the streets when he sees Lois and tries to talk with her, but of course, looking like Woody, Lois doesn't recognize him and a policeman shortly arrests him. Woody's daughter, feeling bad about what her father has done, arrives to bail Clark out. While Clark was stuck in jail, however, Woody, at home with Lois, momentarily finds himself back in his own body, a side effect of the magic. As long as Clark remains alive in Woody's body, his soul will continue to try and get back to its proper body, all while Clark's body tries to fight off Woody's soul like a virus, damaging the Superman body in the process, making him weaker. Clark eventually manages to get to Lois and convinces her of his identity, but has to leave before Woody returns and finds him there. Unfortunately, Clark finds himself and Woody's daughter kidnapped by the crime boss and interrogated. While trying to escape, a huge fire traps the daughter that Woody sees when once again his and Clark's souls switch places momentarily. Woody rushes to the scene but is unsure of trying to enter the flames due to an injury the Superman body received earlier, showing that the invulnerability is wearing down. Woody returns Superman's body back to Clark and he rushes in to save the daughter. Unfortunately, the crime boss shows up and shoots Woody for his transgressions against him, and he dies as his daughter watches on. Superman stops the criminals from escaping and changes to Clark Kent to assure the daughter that her father did the right thing at the end and was the one who brought Superman there to save the day.
Oh, man. Man. Big mistake. Oh, big mistake. This guy's some kind of freak. Oh. Why does it look so familiar? Wait a minute. No way. No way! Okay, calm down. Just relax. Wow. How cool is this? I'm not on drugs. I'm Superman.
All right, so again, plenty in our investigation. Let's get into it.
So, Asabi warns about the danger of body switching, and Woody basically says, it doesn't matter. It couldn't be anything compared to what little Tony will do if he gets me. So, I'm willing to take the risks, no matter what they are. So, he just sort of dismisses Asabi's warning. Clark is heading out to interview, or go to the meeting with the mob boss. I forget about little Tony. And he asks Lois, well, what are you going to do? And they end up having a conversation about how she's considering she's going to stay home, and she's thinking about slowing down, because if they're going to have kids, she's thinking, well, it's probably not wise, to be throwing your way in front of a laser beam, in harm's way every week. I'm just a woman of flesh. You're a man of steel. It's not good for me to be strapped down to dynamite all the time, And so Clark's like, well, you're quitting your job? And she's like, no, not quitting. Just, I'm, maybe being more careful, more cautious, because kids have responsibilities, So it was kind of a nice little conversation, I mean, it makes sense. If they're thinking about having kids, she can't just be going crazy all the time, because you've got to be responsible for your kids, that's the reason why I'm not fighting crime anymore, as, a Cape Crusader. I used to do it all the time, had kids, I'm like, all right, I got to hang up the cape. That's how it goes, so.
I'm sure.
Anyway, let's see. So next we had Becky, the daughter, wondering how Woody knows where the meeting was between little Tony and, I guess, Kent. And he has a line. He says, well, I took over the body of a bird. That's how I found out. Like a little birdie told him, Woody in Superman's body, he's in the costume and everything. He comes out of the phone booth and he's holding Clark's clothes. And he's like, well, what am I supposed to do with these now? Which is something that we've always wondered, but yeah, so there you go. There was an extra scene with Becky and Clark as Woody. And Clark is trying to figure out a solution to Woody's problem with, having a hit put on him. And she's just kind of shocked that he's actually doing that, helping someone. Because, she's looking at him, and it's her dad. And that's not the way her dad does things. Doesn't really think about helping other people. He's always trying to, help himself and help her, but not other people outside of them. And so she has this speech where she's like, my dad's not bad, he's not exactly good. He's somewhere in between, and Clark's like, well, you love him, don't you? She's like, yeah, I do, At the end of the scene, he basically says, well, I got to call Lois because she'll be worried. And, Becky says, well, didn't she have you arrested? She's not going to recognize you. He goes, don't worry, I just need to talk to her. It was a nice little scene, I thought. It was good. It's too bad they had to cut that. When Lois finds Clark in her home, as Woody, of course, she says, I don't know how you got in here, but believe me, getting tossed in jail this afternoon is going to be nothing compared to 30 seconds with me and this carrot. She grabs something off the kitchen table or counter, as she does, which I think that's funny. It's very funny. When Clark tells Tony, he has Clark is as Woody again is tied up, and he said, "Why don't you let her go? It's the father you want." And Tony says, "Look at this," referring to himself in the third person, like he's the Pope or something. So yeah, just a little extra line from Tony there, just a little amusing little bit there. But yeah, that's pretty much everything.
Cool.
Clark, it is you. What happened?
You stole my body and left me in this.
So then, that wasn't... I knew there was something weird about the way he kissed me. Nothing happened.
It's okay. I tried to get to you all day.
And I wouldn't listen to you. I'm so sorry.
It's not your fault. You could have known.
What you must have been going through. Clark, you're burning up.
Yeah. Lois, I'm sick. I think this body's sick. I think it's dying.
Dying?
I don't know how much time I have. I've got to get my own body back.
He knows your secret. He's looking for you.
That's not good. I keep finding myself back in my own body, but never for very long. He keeps pushing me out again. Every time it happens, I seem to get weaker.
As long as he's you, he's unstoppable.
We have to take him when he's not expecting it. You have to get him to relax, but you can't let on that you know anything.
Okay.
It's the phone number of where I'm staying. This motel. Call me when he's most vulnerable.
You're leaving?
Honey, I can't stay here. He'll be looking for me.
I don't care what body you're in. I'm with you no matter what.
Alright, so getting into the main story, and the lead here, sneaky swindler swaps souls with Superman.
I was trying to see how long I could make it with all S's.
You're trying to short me up, aren't you? Can't do
Yes,
it.
exactly.
She sells seashells by the seashore. You ain't got nothing.
Right. Oh, yeah, but can you say toy boat 5 times?
I'm not even going to try.
Try that one. All
right, so this episode... Yes. Interesting concept, to say the least. Woody is a guy with a prize on his head.
Yes.
and he also has the ability to transfer his mind into others. And it kind of starts with animals, right? He hasn't quite gotten up to human beings yet.
Right, yeah.
So an interesting start to it. They kind of have all this stuff about a big jewelry heist or something, and it seems like, oh, whoever did it must have had the agility, and then we find out he put his mind into a monkey.
Yes. Exactly.
It's hokey, but I like it. I kind of like it.
Yeah, I thought, like, at first I was like, where is this going? I don't remember this. And then, as we got into it, I was like, oh, that's right, I remember this now. Now, do you know who this Woody is?
Okay, I only know this because I kind of did a bit of my own research.
All right.
I don't remember what the actor's name is, but he apparently played the brother of Barry Allen in that 90s Flash TV series, right?
Exactly. Now, that's not exactly what he's known for. And, like, he also has a tie to some other heroes, Hulk and Thor, because he played a bad guy in The Incredible Hulk Returns TV movie where Hulk met up with Thor.
Yeah, I've seen that one. I don't remember him, but I have seen that.
Yeah, he's the head of the bad guys.
Okay.
And that's what he's sort of known for, being a gruff, like, that's the guy you get for having a gruff authority figure, a gruff leader, very, stern, that type of guy. So that's what he's kind of known for. And he's had a very steady career. His name is Tim Thomerson. And, like, when you look at his IMDb page, I mean, he's been working, like, for a long, long time, and rarely does a year go by that he doesn't have some type of project going on. He's always doing something. I've seen him in so many different things as, like, these little bit type characters. So when he showed up, I was like, oh yeah, I know him.
It makes me wonder if they're ever going to get him on The Flash TV series or something now. They've got John Wesley Shipp on there, so
I know
if
it'd
they
be cool.
Cast Tim Thomerson in something, it'd be great.
Yep, exactly.
I'm going to keep an eye out for it.
We can only hope. Yes.
But his whole thing is that his whole life he's kind of been a bit of a crooked guy, criminal with the heart of gold kind of thing going on.
Mm-hmm.
And he's doing all this for his daughter, Becky. He wants to get her set up in life because, well, he's got a price on his head because of the mob boss, little Tony, and he's kind of got a plan worked out on how to deal with it, but it could go sideways, so he wants to make sure she's covered.
Now, speaking of, do you recognize Becky at all?
No, but from the way you're speaking, it's probably going to be something really obvious, isn't it?
Well, it's Sitcom Tom back, and her name is Stacy Keenan. I knew her from, the intro that I did, from a TV show, a sitcom called My Two Dads, and she played the daughter on there, and she basically had two dads. That was, there was some kind of agreement with this judge who is actually a main character in the sitcom, and orders that both of them will raise the daughter. They will both raise the daughter together. She's also been on the sitcom Step by Step with Suzanne Summers. She played the daughter of, I forget. I think it's Suzanne Summers' character. I forget the name. But, she's had a pretty good history with sitcoms there. Stacy Keenan is her name. As soon as she popped up, like, oh, I remember her. Because, as a young boy, she was a very, very attractive young girl as well. So.
Well, I think I saw a couple episodes of Step by Step.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't really know My Two Dads. What year was that?
That was 1987 to 1990. So there you go.
I'm sure if they made that today, it'd be very different.
Yes.
Or it'd be like, this isn't even, a hokey situation. This happens every day. Why are we making this show?
Exactly. Basically, a woman dies, and she leaves her teenage daughter in the custody of a father she has never met. Michael is a straight-laced and formal man, and then Joey is a wild artist. And both of them were former boyfriends, and so together, they raise Nicole as their own.
There you go.
Yep.
Random.
Like you do,
Yeah.
In fact, Corey, I have a daughter I want to talk to you about.
Could be mine, but it could be yours too. So we're both going to raise her. God forbid we do a paternity test.
Exactly.
Anyway, let's get off My Two Dads.
All right.
And get back into this episode. All right, so Woody has a plan, and his plan is to go up to the point of being able to transfer his mind into a person.
Yep.
And it just turns out that Clark has been interviewing little Tony for a series at the Daily Planet. So the plan is get his mind into Clark.
Yes.
Sort of surveil the situation.
Yes.
And then get his mind into little Tony, at which point he can cancel the hit.
Exactly.
Okay. So it's a 2-3-tiered plan, which of course is going to stop at that first tier once he finds out who Clark is.
And they do call out the flaw in his plan too in the episode. Like, well, what happens after you get out of little Tony's body? You know, he can just put the hit back on again.
Right.
And they sort of throw it away. Say, I didn't think about that yet. So let's take care of this first.
I'll figure something out.
Exactly.
It's like he could say, like, I'm canceling the hit on Woody, and if anybody, including myself, tries to reinstate it, you have my permission to kill them.
Right.
Or something.
Yeah.
And then all of his henchmen would have to kill him.
Yes, exactly.
Because that would make sense too.
I know.
But, now this is the wild part. He goes to the person who taught him how to put his mind into animals in the first place. Asabi.
Yeah. I forgot about that. That was shocking.
I can't believe Asabi's back.
I know. I was like, what? Look it's him.
I guess technically he wasn't like Lex Luthor's henchman or anything. He kind of just sort of trained the guy in whatever Asabi trains people in.
Right. He was just like a guy for hire, you know. And,
so no criminal ties to Asabi.
Yeah. It was odd. Like, I was like, whoa.
He's got a shop, like on a main street somewhere where he, I guess he sells crystal balls and incense or something.
Right, yeah.
And teaches people how to transfer their consciousness into other bodies, which we know he can do because he tried to teach Lex how to do that once upon a time.
So it's good. I mean, it's continuity, which is good.
Yeah, it's totally random, but it's great to see this guy back.
Yes.
What's this actor's name, Asabi?
Sean Tobe.
Nice.
Sean Tobe, yep.
So he tries to take the moral high ground here. And he's just like, you know, the gods are telling me that I shouldn't pass on this information, blah, blah, blah. Money? Okay.
Exactly. Well, you know, money talks.
Yeah, exactly. He turns over the Zalig stone.
Yes.
And, okay, there's a bit of a technique here, right? The person has to clasp the stone, and then you have to feel your heartbeats become in rhythm with each other.
Yes.
At which point you can take possession of their body. And, of course, he gives this whole thing about, like, a soul will always want to come back to its own body and stuff. So you know pretty much from the beginning there that this isn't going to last forever.
Right, yes.
Right, they kind of just drop that in there. So, again, I don't know, it's kind of like the ending of that last episode where it's just like, does that undercut the stakes a little bit?
A little bit, yeah. Definitely a little bit.
But at the same time, they need to set that up so later when Clark is trying to get back into his own body, it's not like a whole WTF is going on here, right?
Right, exactly. I mean, I guess he could reason that since they said, you know, if he can kill, if his original body is killed, then you can stay in that body. You know, they do add that in, and it'll stop trying to fight back. So there is that, which is kind of, I think that's kind of good.
But that doesn't come till later when he goes back to Asabi, so.
That's right, yeah, that's right.
But yeah, you know, he manages to get into Clark's body. It's when they're dragging Clark off, like they sedate him immediately after the switch is made.
Right.
And he throws the guy across the park. And he's just like, whoa, this Clark Kent's like stronger than he appears.
Yes.
And you're like, you didn't think that was weird at all.
Right.
It's going to take you a few beats to get that he's got super strength.
Well, you know, it's not every day that you transfer souls, so maybe he's not. Maybe it's a side effect of this, you know. It's mystical magic, you know, something. Who knows?
And he gets kind of so overwhelmed with all this, and he's sort of like patting his hair back, you know, holding his head, and realizes that Clark is Superman, you know.
Yep.
Once the hair's back, he's like, I know this guy. And in all this confusion that's going on, Clark, as Woody, manages to escape. So we get this whole back and forth between Clark as Woody and Lois.
Yes.
So I kind of liked how this played out, you know, his initial going up to her and her, you know, freaking out and the police arresting him.
Because he's, you know, like, he's not, he seems like he's drunk because he's not quite totally coherent, you know, like if he was like totally like, like later on when he finally, you know, settles into the body, you know, he's much more coherent. If he was at this point, he could have said something like, Lois, you know, I'm Superman. Da, da, da. Like he could have told her something that would have made her realize, oh, this is Clark, or this is a message from Clark, or something like that. But as it is, he just comes off as like, you know, some guy who just was, you know, having too much of a, drink.
I kind of liked, the episode did start with this whole, when I look into your eyes and I know you're my husband kind of thing, right? Just to set this up later. And she kind of gets it at that moment when he's being dragged away by the police. Mm-hmm. She kind of knows something's up here. Yeah. She really knows something's up when Clark comes home. Because Woody has, kitted him out in all this, leathers and gold necklaces and stuff.
I know, it's funny.
This is full on, right?
It is.
As they try to have, a bit of sexy time. He's just, ignoring, terrorist attacks that are going on.
Exactly.
It's a good sequence. I don't mind this.
Yeah, no, I thought it was great.
But, of course, because Becky knows what's going on, and she's taking the morality of this, right? She's going to come and help Clark, right? And while all this is going on, he's sort of flashing back into his own body for a few seconds here or there. And then they sort of up the stakes by saying that Woody is possibly dying.
Yes.
Because of this, and Superman's actually losing his powers because Woody's in there as well. I don't know, I kind of like this as well, just how this is going to play out. It takes Clark's soul being in that body as a Kryptonian to keep it going, because Superman isn't just strength, it's about his morals. And
exactly,
by Clark's soul not being there, Superman is fading away. So when this attack comes on Lois, once Woody realizes that she's aware of what's going on, I like that. I really like that speech that she gives about who Superman is. It's not about what he is, it's about who he is.
And just thinking about it, this is really just a villain of the week. That's all it is. Yeah. But there's something more about this story that puts it above, we had some terrible villains of the week in that season too. The sound guy, the fake Metallo, it's those were villains of the week too, but they were not done as well as this one is. There's something about this that just takes it up a notch. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but maybe it's that speech. Maybe it's the whole Becky, the moral, morality of the whole thing. I enjoyed this a lot more than I enjoyed those episodes.
Yeah, and it could have come off as really weird, when Woody stumbles in there and, he's given the whole bit about, look into my eyes, it's me, it's your husband. And
exactly.
She wants a kiss from him, because that way she'll really, that'll nail it for her in her mind.
Right.
That could have come off as really strange and weird. But I don't know, there was the way that scene played out, I think Terry Hatcher and Tim Thomerson, I think just played it really well. And yeah, I bought it. I liked it.
This gave both Dean Cain and Tim Thomerson a real chance to stretch, because he's playing well, now Dean Cain had a little bit, I think he had a little bit easier, because he's playing just a con man, type thing. So he had it pretty easy, but still gave him a chance to stretch. Whereas Tim Thomerson had to play Dean Cain, which, that's not a stereotype, that's a particular person. And when you hear Woody talking with Becky, it sounds like Dean Cain. It sounds like his cadences a little bit. So I think it was really well acted.
Yeah, absolutely. And then when we get to the whole climax, Becky and Clark as Woody are taken away by little Tony and his men. They end up in this big fire. Superman, of course, has to come and help. And he says, I can't go in there. I'm afraid. And he's saying to him, you're indestructible. Trust me on this. You got to do this. But he's saying, no, there's something happening here. I got shot earlier. Look at this. I'm bleeding. It's a good way for them to sort of, have it cross back over, for this to end. He realizes that what he's done is wrong. And really, the rightful soul belongs where it is. It's a redemptive story, and I like it. I actually think he gets redeemed by the end.
No, I think so too.
And then, of course, he takes a bullet.
Right.
Which is rough. And he's dying on the street, and it's heartbreaking with Becky there, holding her father in her arms while he dies. And then we get this sneaky little moment because Tony's had this dog with him the whole time. And the dog's eyes glow as if to say, Woody transferred into the body of this dog, so maybe he's not quite dead after all.
Yeah, I thought that was good. And since he transferred the soul of the dog over into Woody's body dies, so he's kind of would you imagine he's stuck in the dog now, or can he get out of the dog and go to another body?
He seems to be pretty coherent when he's in the bodies of animals. I mean, he transferred into that monkey and then went and robbed some jewelry and stuff, so I don't know. I guess
because I mean, if he can get out of there and into another human body, remember he knows who Clark Kent is. He knows the secret identity.
That's true.
So it's like, now what?
But at the same time, he would have to, I guess, kill somebody or damn somebody else to live the life in the body of a dog.
Right. True.
Which is kind of a nasty thing to do to somebody.
That is. Yeah, that is.
Because at first I thought it was going to be like he transferred into Fat Tony. He transferred into Little Tony, right? So then it would be that at the end of the day, like Little Tony shot Woody, but then the bodies were transferred. So ultimately, Little Tony just shot himself,
right.
and dies. So.
That would have been a good wrap.
But then Woody would have gone to jail anyway. So.
True, yeah, that's true.
It's a tough one to figure out how you really should wrap it up. And I guess this ending's as good as any. It's not overly satisfying, but it's okay.
Yeah.
And like you said, for a Villain of the Week episode, I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah. No, I did. Like I said, it was much better than the previous ones that we've had. So, yeah, definitely.
All right, so some bylines. Did you notice that Lois and Clark do the upside down kiss thing?
See, I hadn't really called attention to it until you mentioned it here, but yeah, they did.
This is years before Spider-Man. But yeah, as soon as they did it, I'm just like, that's like the Spider-Man kiss.
Right, yeah. That's cool, yeah. They did it first.
I also had to call out too. When Woody's in Clark's body and he's finding out that Clark is Superman and he's looking in the mirror, right? This is like a back alley market or something that he stumbled into.
Right.
This mirror has a label on it that says, on sale, $975. Who in the hell pays $975 on sale at a back alley market?
Lex Luthor does. I didn't even notice it. You notice all these things all the time. I'm like, I have no idea.
I am not turning over $975 to someone in a back alley for a mirror.
True.
Okay, we have another random song.
Yeah, and I didn't even pick up on it. For some reason, I glossed over this somehow and didn't even notice the song. But yeah, I don't know who it's by.
It's heavy on the saxophone, whatever it is.
Well, I looked on the site that I had for the last one with that Celeste Prince. I looked on that site to see if it was listed as another song from Lois and Clark, but it wasn't. So I don't know if they just didn't update that site past that episode or what, or they didn't take any notice of it. I don't know. It's something about they just didn't have it on that site for some reason. So I don't know what it is, but there you go. I'm all the love you need, so baby, won't you stop on by?
Mm-hmm. And then that sax riff comes in.
Yeah, I try to search for it, and like the words themselves don't come up with anything that's like definite. It's like it could be this, it could be that. So yeah, I don't know what it could be.
Yeah, I just assumed it would be another one of those made for the scene songs, because he flicks it on the radio when they're getting ready for that sexy time, and I'm just like, what the hell is this?
Yeah, it could be just one of those little things, definitely. Well, if I do, I'll check it out again, and if I can figure it out, we'll put it in the follow-ups for next time.
Nice. Okay, I got to talk about the wound that Superman sustains, right? When he gets shot, he's got this wound on his wrist.
Yeah.
When Clark gets back in his own body, it heals up. I get that.
Yes.
But the suit also repairs itself as well?
Yeah. I tried to think of a reason why. Maybe the aura.
The aura, men's fabric.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Maybe that's what it does. We'll go with that, though.
I don't know. I'm like, come on. Seriously. If people in the bylines were talking about this, I don't know. We're going to get to that, but jeez.
Yeah, there was a couple people who mentioned that. I didn't include it in there because you included it here, so it was just extra. But yeah, a couple of people were like, how did the suit fix itself?
We're nitpicking again about the suit and everything. I know.
Well, the last one here is something that I noticed when Woody picks up the paper and says, that guy, and he points to Clark, a picture of him by his byline in the Daily Planet. And I'm like, that's the best picture you have of Clark that you could have used for a byline, because it looks like a still from the episode, because he's standing there, like you see, you only see him from the neck up, but it's Clark not smiling, looking confused, like they just grabbed a random still from one of the episodes and just plopped it on there. Like there's plenty of publicity photos you could have used, and cropped out. It's like, why did you use this photo? Like, check it out. It's
they just photocopied his
picture.
license or something and just.
I know, it was so weird. I'm like, why did you use that picture? That's odd. It was very odd. Very odd.
It also makes you wonder, do they put his picture next to every byline that he has?
Right, or only
Why?
the big ones, Yeah, exactly.
Good episodes. Great to have that 3-parter, and this one, very solid. I loved it.
Yeah, definitely.
Whoa, what's happening? Where's Becky? Inside. You've got to go in there and get her.
I'm afraid.
What? We'll get her over. You're invulnerable. Trust me on this.
I don't think that's true. Look, I got shot. Look. Turns out I'm poisoned to this body. I think it's breaking down because of me. The flames from the fire, I can feel them. It's hot.
It'll sting a little, but it won't kill you. Becky won't be so lucky. Now go in there and get her.
What if I can't? You have to do it.
Well, I can't.
Yes, you could. You could do it in this body. Please. She's the only thing I care about. You've got to save her.
We have to do this fast.
Take my hand.
Getting into the back issues, for the first episode, a lot of people were feeling sorry for Smith, for the troll. You know, he was a sympathetic character, whereas they never really felt sorry for Lex because he's just more evil. You know, Smith doesn't put on a face; he just does what he does. Whereas Lex hides and, sort of like lies to your face about it. But Smith just sort of does what he does. Is what they were saying.
You kind of get the impression that just how he was treated in life and being the, unwanted son of Lex Luthor has really just done something to his mind.
Yeah. So a couple of people were talking about John Shea, and they're like, let's get John Shea back. Okay, this is good work and everything, but let's get John Shea back and just have him forget about Lois. Like he would drop her for his empire in a second, and he was a much better character when he wasn't so obsessed with just like, having her, possessing her. So they really missed John Shea, which of course we do too. But this, like we said, these guys, Smith and Luckabee, were good stand-ins.
I know. We need a petition to get John Shea on Supergirl. I mean, we've got Terry on there. We've got Dean on there.
That'd be so good.
I know, right?
Let's see. So they were checking the ratings, and this happened to be the second lowest rating ever for Lois and Clark, even though it was up 400,000 from previous episodes. Basically, they're saying it's in the death time slot, and plus ABC's promo for this episode, it focused on trying to make it about relationship angst, the way they cut it together. So it's ABC, like trying to portray a different type of episode than what it actually was, which is annoying. I don't like when they do that. I hate that.
I mean, I have to call out, Fox actually did this for the trailer for Logan.
Oh, yeah?
There's like stuff in that trailer that just like when you watch the movie, you're like, seriously? That's what that scene was in the trailer?
Oh, jeez.
Hey, Logan's a good movie. Don't get me wrong. It's an excellent movie, people. That trailer.
That's what I understand, yeah.
When you know when it was cut together, you're like, oh, seriously?
Let's see. So Woody, speeding away as Superman, brings up the question, how can he control it since he's inexperienced? He's never used these powers before. How does he do anything without destroying stuff like Clark did when his powers kicked into overdrive?
Right.
Just simply, exactly. Like opening the door and he tears it off. Like, yeah, so same thing here. And then they said, someone else said, with all the stuff that happens to Lois and Clark, they need some kind of password. That way when they start getting a little closer and intimate, she can say, what's the secret word? And if he says, please, she can say, oh, I've got a headache, which is true. That's a good idea, It works both ways. They should have some kind of special password.
You need like a really obscure word so it's right.
Right.
That's our secret was. I'm going to get some aubergines.
Yes, exactly.
Yes. Let's get some aubergines.
Well, and then finally there were a lot of people who were just totally pissed at ABC because they canceled the show. It was right about this time that they found out that the show was being canceled.
Right close to the end. Jeez.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure the decision was made earlier, but this is when I guess these people started to really find out about it on this forum. And they said, and it's not just that they're canceling the show, but they're adding insult to injury because they're moving into this dead zone and they're preempting the final episodes. Like, if you notice, the episodes that we're watching here aired a month apart. One's the end of April and the other one is the end of May.
Oh, wow.
So it's like, what the heck, man? Just like, let's get through this. It's the end. We understand, but
just
don't put it off. Yeah. Let us rip the Band-Aid off, Just like,
it's weird.
Just like that.
It's like like recently with Person of Interest. I don't know if anybody watched that show, but they had one last season before they canceled, and they were just getting it. I think they were playing like 2 episodes a week of that last season, just to get it out and get it done.
So yeah, someone said maybe it was because it's sweeps weeks and they wanted to put on something that was more popular to get the ratings, I guess. But still, yeah, it's I didn't notice until I read this person's post from back then in '97 that they aired almost a month apart.
It's crazy. All right, well, I guess that takes us to what our next issue is going to be, and it is the last 2 episodes of the series.
I know, we made it.
Yes, Toy Story and The Family Hour.
I know what both of them are about, but what do you think?
Well, Toy Story kind of makes me nervous that it's going to be some sort of villain of the week who uses toys or something.
Yeah, you're pretty much on, but it is based on a real superhero from DC Comics. So you at least get that.
And the Family Hour being I guess maybe not thinking of it like a series finale, because I guess the show's really just been cancelled.
Right.
Thinking of it like a season finale.
Yes.
I'm going to have to say it has something to do with babies.
You'd be correct, I believe. And
they've been pointing towards it for the last few episodes. So
exactly. I just don't think it's going to be quite what you expected, though, when you get there.
Interesting.
Whatever it is, we will find out next week, because that is it for this issue of the Rewatch Podcast. Keep up with listener interaction by liking our Facebook page at facebook.com/Rewatch Podcast or facebook.com/Lois and Clark Rewatch, and follow the show on Twitter at Rewatch Pod. You can also visit our webpage at rewatchpodcast.podomatic.com, which has links to some of our favorite sites there, such as the forums at zoomway.net, folc.wiki.com, and the supermanhomepage.com. And don't forget, we've also got links to our archive of film rewatch episodes.
And remember, you can always write us an email or record a voice message. Send it to the rewatchpodcast@gmail.com. And also, if you've enjoyed the show, please consider giving us a rate and review on iTunes. That's very helpful. And you can help support the Rewatch Podcast by heading to patreon.com/rewatchpodcast and make a monthly contribution as little as $1. And thank you to all our patrons. And we're up on YouTube. You can find every single episode that we've ever done there. So search Rewatch Podcast and subscribe today. All right, well, as always, thank you for joining me, Tom.
Yep.
And that just leaves me to say until next time, things of beauty never last.
We gotta fly.
The Rewatch Podcast is not associated with Warner Brothers Television, ABC, Gangbuster Films Incorporated, or Roundelay Productions.
Don't believe everything you see on TV.
The use of any and all copyrighted material is only for parody, news analysis, critique, or educational purposes as provided in United States Code Title 17, aka Fair Use.
Let's get legal on this.
Music provided by Kevin McCloud at incompetech.com.
Great shades of Elvis.
Copyright 2017, The Rewatch Podcast.
Where are your beepers? We'll be in touch.